All right, everybody out there, welcome back. As you can see, this is a very different type of scenario as previous episodes. Flying an airliner on this one, which is the first time for the channel. Not the first time for me, but and the reason we're flying an airliner is because one of the subscribers to the channel sent me a message saying, "Hey, an airliner would be cool," and that is totally doable. So let's get inside the 787. And by the way, this is the 787-10. Let's get in. I've already got most of the cockpit prepped. So let's get into the flight deck and finish things up, and we'll be on our way from San Francisco, where we are right now. Go down the coastline a little ways to Los Angeles, LAX. All right, let's just go through for the checklist here. Uh, Parking brake, fuel control switches are off, which is normal. Ready for the next one. And that's the one issue that they have with this 787. When I say they, I mean Asobo. You can't. The speed brake clickable area, if you will, is way too big, and you got to move it all the way to this position so you can utilize both of these screens while you're on the ground. So checklist is complete, and it still wants to utilize the speed brake, which is very annoying. Let's switch screens here. Pull that one over here. We'll do the checklist on the upper CDU. We'll just do it up here then. All right, normal. Okay. Passenger signs. Some of these checklists, some of these, I should say, line items, they can only be checked off if you actually perform that function. So, passenger signs are up here, already on. Other than that, in reality, because in the in real life, Boeing aircraft are my specialty. So that should be automatically checked, but it isn't. So we're just going to roll with all the mistakes that Asobo's 787 comes with. Here we've got, and it's already messed up. The navigation is showing us taking off from our current position instead of to a left. It just did that, which is not great. MCP, V1, V2, or V1 rotate, V2 speeds, those are in. I'm sorry, the tails are MCP, that's all set. And so we look up here, 200, even though our safety speed is 180, I always do VRAP plus 20 on takeoff because this aircraft is actually, as you can see, it's almost full, 94% full with regard to passengers, 75% on the freight down below in the cargo compartments, MCP, V2 at track and altitude. We'll line up the heading bug once we get to the runway. I want to make sure we get it right. It's on 28 left, so in theory it should be 280. I believe with the magnetic variance it comes out to 278 or 277. When we get out parallel to the runway as we taxi out, I'll be readjusting that. And again, like I said, the altitude is all set. V2, that should be, like I said, that's all set. CDU pre-flight, we've done that. Tasking takeoff briefing, I've already briefed it. And very, very straightforward departure. The only issue we have is a little bit of terrain when you take off out of San Francisco to the west. There are some mountains. We can see them from the flight deck here. No, we can't. But if you've been to San Francisco, there are some. I don't know if you call them mountains per se, but and that doesn't work either. I'm finding out everything that doesn't work on the flight. Let's see here. I'll just do a little bit of quick arithmetic. Let's see here. Okay, currently at 3027. What is it in hectopascals? It is 1025. So we'll set this to 1025. Oh, that's right, it pops up. 3027. 3027. 1025. Okay, yep. And everything cross checks. And we are go in regard to that. And we'll go through these systems here after we push off the gate. But we do want to make sure one thing is certain. We want to make sure the doors are all closed. The M means that they're not armed yet, which is when they're armed, there should be a letter A, if I'm not mistaken, with a green box around them, which means that which again means that they would be armed. All right. Anything on the main page? I don't think there would be anyway, because these pages don't work. Massive pieces of this aircraft, unfortunately, do not work from what I've already seen. This is my first or second time in this aircraft. And again, the reason I don't fly it really is because there's so many things that simply don't work, or they don't work correctly. But I'll be doing a video in the very near future in the old flight sim made by Microsoft FSX, where I have a study level 747-8, and you will definitely be able to get something out of that. It is just hydraulic drives. The primary demand pumps are off. That's because the engines aren't running. Electrical system is being pulled from the outside. So now we're going to turn on the APU and get rolling here. And we're going to turn on APU, which is right here. And then we'll turn on the beacon right now. That tells everybody on the ground, all the ramp agents, to be fully aware of what we're doing. So we're going to go and turn on all 6 pumps, and then the balance pump. Do we have fuel in the center tank? Yes, we do. We have 33,400 pounds in each wing, 33,300 in the center tank, which gives us a total of 100,100 pounds. APU should be ramped up by now. It is. You can see that under APU on the staff page on the lower right MFD. You can see that the APU is now running. And now we're going to accept okay, we don't need an aft external either. We're now running that. APU is running. And if I had to guess, it's pulling fuel out of the left tank because the valve light is not showing. So we're going to turn on our wing pumps and those center pumps and our balance pump is not required because everything, as I showed you before, is already balanced. Hydraulic, this is a big one. This is why you want to put on that beacon light before you pressurize the hydraulic system, because the flight controls are going to begin to move and some things in the landing gear, or as my friends over in the UK would call them, undercarriage. Some things might begin to actuate down there. So now we can turn them on. And like anything in these modern day airliners, auto is the most prevalent setting that is available. So it also includes the anti-ice. We'll just when they switch these to auto, more than likely I've already looked at the weather along with the weather en route. Not going to need any anti-icing, but if it does require anti-icing, the automated systems, the auto detection systems, will then turn the wing anti-icing system, turn that on. Same thing works for the leading edge, if you will, of the engine cowlings. All right. With all that said, running on the APU, TKS is off. Let's fix that real quick. Simply, we're going to use this interface or down here to set it to. Let's say they gave us a code, and again, I do not utilize the ATC that comes with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 because it's just it's so bad, it's extremely frustrating. For example, they don't say flight level 270, they'll say FL 270 and other things. It just, and they don't tell you when to descend on time, they have you descend late, they change runways on you when you're 25 miles out, they'll change the runway on you, and then you got to reset it, and then the EFB doesn't sync with what's in the FMC and vice versa. So it's just better not to utilize. For me, it's better not to utilize the ATC that comes with 2024. Typical transponder code that they would give us, we'll just make up one, 2574, something like that. Put that into the transponder code, and we'll set the transponder mode to TARA. So it has traffic avoidance and resolution awareness. So that's when the RA is on. If you're coming into an airport or you're near another aircraft, you get too close. The RA part of that says that's what gives you the avionics the ability to tell you pull up, descend, descend. It gives you those audible warnings as well as a warning up here on your primary light display on your PFD. All right. And over here you can see we've got you can see where we do have the entire flight plan all the way down to LAX is entered. And again, how that happened with our starting point of the flight being at the gate, I have no clue. And just another glitch that they have yet to fix. So before start is good. Click on normal. Before taxi, we've done just about every one of those with the exception of 2 items. So we're going to go ahead and see if the people down below will give us a pushback. Let's just see what they're going to do. Let's see if they push it back in the right direction here. Slowly coming onto the nose gear. Anytime now. Well, that's impressive. It's actually pushing us back in the proper in the proper direction. All right. Let's see what airlines are here today. EasyJet. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be over in England and Western Europe. You don't fly this side of the Atlantic Ocean. Who else is here? Another EasyJet. That's funny. Alaska Airlines. Now that's real. That's actually pretty accurate. I see an Embraer 195 sitting over there, just behind our tail. All right, I say let's call it good on pushback there. And that's back in the jet. Okay, first thing you do is you set your parking brake. All right, let's go ahead and do an engine start. And that is what we were ready for. Fuel pressure, hydraulic pressure. Well, those pressures will all come on and up to where they need to be after engine start. So this is anything like the real 777. Once I click start on the right engine, the packs, which are down here, this pack and the right pack, those packs will immediately go to off. But we'll see. Good. Off. That's what needs to happen because it has to redirect highly compressed air to the engine so that you can see the engine be spooled up. You get that inner rotation, and N2 is at 160, is at, yeah. Turn the fuel controller open. And now we watch the engine. It goes into auto start mode, and we simply watch the ITT. In this case, it's actually the ETT, exhaust gas temperature. 230, 240, 250, 270, 280, 300. As long as it doesn't get near that red hash mark, let alone on the hash mark, that is what we are looking for. Alright. Looks like, alright, and I just heard the switch above my head turn to run. I should say norm. Okay, left engine. And turn on the fuel, because this is like an auto start, just like in the Boeing 747-8. And let's be smart with the time. We'll pull up our systems page down here. Actually, we'll go to flight controls. And by the way, 7.75 on the stabilizer. That is the correct setting for our weight and center of gravity. Okay, let's check out the. I'm gonna bring the spoilers down. All the way to the right, neutral. All the way to the left, neutral. Need to bring our eyeballs a little farther down. There we go. Elevator all the way up. Elevators to neutral. Elevators all the way down and neutral. Although technically they didn't go all the way down. That's just a limitation, and or I should say glitch on behalf of the programmers at Asobo. Okay, let's do it. Rudder all the way left, neutral all the way to the right. Good, and neutral. All right, we're done with that. So we can say anti-ice is set, recall. That is a button. That's on my side, or the FO side. We'll use their side. And nothing on the recall. Good. Auto brake set, RTO. category, which I already did. Flight controls, we just checked them. Ground equipment. Well, from my seat, it looks clear. I'm gonna, in real life, they would be the senior ramp agent at the nose will be telling you that everything is clear. We obviously don't have that, so we'll just look at it this way. Yep, everything's clear. And the APU, by now, it can come off. You do want to make sure, by the way, that your engine generators are on before you turn the APU off. And of course they are. So off. And just do one last flow again, even though I did one already. We'll just turn on our turn off lights. Yeah, that's another. This is another discrepancy. Taxi light, that is the proper name of that switch. Why Asobo program? Why the people that design the graphics? Why they call this the run switch? I have no idea. It's not the run switch. It's a taxi switch. Just like in the 777, identical, and it is known as a taxi switch, not a run switch. All right. And APU is off, I do believe. Yep. All right, very good. And flaps, what I did with that, as I said, flaps, they need to go to 15. And you can see the progress of the flaps on the ICAS. And then this should automatically check itself off. There we go. Very good. And now we're down to the after takeoff checklist, and we'll simply leave it at that. CDU. And the reason I like CDU on the right page set to the second page of the progress page is so I can simply and very easily look down, and I can know what the wind component is during any phase of flight. Now, did I skip over things to make it simple? No, I just haven't explained everything. Everything that's already set up. Again, it took me probably 20 minutes to get the flight deck set up from a cold and dark situation all the way up to a live situation. So let's turn off the parking brake and let's begin to roll. We'll see how useful the heads-up display is on the 787. I do have it deployed. I do not see the I can barely read the speed tape. I cannot see the altimeter tape. So something they might need to look into for the next update. That little caret on the left toward the center is pointing to the right. That shows you if you're accelerating or decelerating. And if you use that as a reference point with regard to the horizon that is on that tells you if you're accelerating or decelerating. So it's a very useful tool in taxiing on the ground. That way you know exactly how much power input to give the engines to keep it rolling or slowly decelerate. Keep in mind that the 787-10, again, which is this version of the 787, is a very long fuselage. So when you make your turns, they do need to be a nice wide turn. And if I did that turn correctly, my nose gear should be pretty centered. Yep. And just again, always be cognizant of how much airplane you have behind you. And remember that there is a speed limit on the ground, and that is 20 knots of ground speed, and that can be found on the map that is directly in front of me. It's as GS, so we're going to pull that engine. Let's pull the engines back a little more so we don't exceed that 20 knots. And if you cannot see it, let me show it to you very quickly. It's right here. Right there under map. It says GS 17, so that means our ground speed is 17 knots. And the reason that you utilize that is because the speed tape on the PFD, that doesn't begin to come alive until you reach 30 knots of indicated air speed. All right. Once we get into the air, I'll reconfigure the multifunction displays. I simply want to see how this thing operates with regard to manually operating it. That way, in case something goes wrong, I know how it handles without any automation and fly-by-wire, and in case fly-by-wire were to fail. All right. Always want to make sure you make your turns, especially your 90-degree turns, slowly. That was about 9 knots. So we're going to go ahead and, as we taxi out, we're going to arm our auto throttle, so the left and right engine. They have independent auto throttles. The only difference is in this version, they both go up and down in unison. Technically, they should be independent of each other. But we do with what we have. And if you've never been to an airport that you are operating an aircraft like this, or the 747-8, or the 777, the moving map on the navigation display works out wonderfully. And I have disabled all traffic because I'm tired of getting the little the sign that says unable to download live traffic pop up on the monitor every 3 or 4 minutes, so I just leave it off. We can go ahead and turn on the flight director. And let's see here. Good. Everything is good. I think what we'll do is, as soon as we get lined up on the runway, since no one is coming, and again, remember, this is a simulation, not at all to be utilized in the real world. I always want to make that distinction. And in my opinion, in the simulation, it seems like Asobo has allowed the airplane to taxi, in other words, begin to roll with very, very, very little thrust. I mean, the engines are practically idling and we're still accelerating. That is not real, especially for a gross weight of 645,000 pounds. I'm sorry, 540, what's the number? 640, well, that's actually not right. The FM, the flight computer doesn't want to agree with the EFB. So go figure with that one. But in all seriousness, our gross weight is just right at about 545,000 pounds is our gross takeoff weight today. It's getting a little dark, only because the sun is behind the mountains, as I mentioned before. And we're going to turn on a couple of more systems. On my side, since I am the pilot flying, the PF pilot flying, I'll turn on the weather radar, even though visually I don't think there obviously isn't any weather to speak of in the Bay Area this evening. So let's stop right here at the old short bars. All right. On my side, I'm going to activate weather and traffic, of course. And on the FO side, you want terrain, traffic and terrain. You cannot have both terrain and weather radar on the same navigation display. And let's go ahead and we're moving already. See, we're not supposed to be moving with such a heavy plane when the engines are at idle. Anyway, let's move that out to 20 nautical. Technically, that's 40. And on my side, I'm going to expand it to 40 as well. There we go. Well, since it's a departure, I'll do 10 and then reassess. I think we're good to go. LNAV is now armed. The toga takeoff buttons, it's not allowing me to get a visibility on that. Let's see here. Yeah, it's not. What should happen is I should be able to see the rudder pedals are malfunctioning as well. Graphically, not in the sim. All right, let's just go ahead and roll. Turn on the lights that need to be on, which are landing lights and strobes. Put the logo light on as well, and the wing light. And just doing one last flow. Okay, let's go. Let's roll. And center up. Remember to make your turn a little on the wide side of the turn. That way when you come out of your turn, you're looking right down the runway. All right. Here we go. There's 50 already. 80 knots. There goes V1.
V1.
Rotate.
Salinas Airport information India 0100 Zulu. Wind 276 at 11. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 11. Dew point 6. Altimeter tree 0 tree 2. 75. ILS runway tree 1 in use. Landing and departing runway tree 1. VFR aircraft say direction of flight.
Now,
all aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have India.
Now, if anybody on the planet can explain why
Salinas
the...
Airport information Juliet
Hang on, that's
0200
annoying.
Zulu. Wind 276 at 11. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 11. Dew point 6. Altimeter tree 0 tree 2. 75.
Let's
ILS
get rid
runway
of
tree
that.
1 in use. Landing
Go
and
back
departing
to
runway tree 1.
radios here.
VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Juliet.
What?
Salinas Airport information
That
Kilo
is very
0200
annoying.
Zulu. Wind 275 at 10.
There we go. Now, if anybody can explain to me why the airplane did what it did with regard to the camera, and all of a sudden we were getting the ATIS information from Salinas Airport, I would love to have your answer, because what just happened is not even close to accurate. Alright, let's turn off the, check things. Okay, flaps need to go to 10. And let's go ahead and move this. And I'm using flight level change mode. So we're climbing at whatever I dial the speed in. So let's go to 220 knots now. Get some speed going. And flaps 5, please. Thank you. Let's see what it looks like on the outside. There's a Golden Gate Bridge in the back there. Yeah, the textures obviously need to be fixed on the 787. Oh, they they auto fix themselves. Okay, that's interesting. You can see the Bay Bridge in the distance there in the background. Just look at the Golden Gate. You can still see it in the background there. The airport. It's right there, off of our left wing. Probably a good time for flaps to retract flaps up to that next position. Why the rudder is vibrating like that, I have no idea. I have no idea. Definitely a work in progress. Okay, flaps need to go to, well, not 1 yet, that's for sure. Let's accelerate to 230, see what happens. And the reason I do that is because it's a very good way to prevent you from overspeeding under 10,000 feet. And we're safe now for flaps 1, please. And go ahead and activate VNAV. Let's double check our VNAV here, if it'll allow us to do that. Yeah, those, look at the pedals. I have no idea what's going on. That's very, very bizarre. Alright, let's go to VNAV. Let's go to legs page. Alright. 7. Okay, flaps up. Let's go back to VNAV and look at our, and we can't look at it because of the poorly programmed click space on here. I should be able to click on my next page and it isn't allowing me to do that. Okay, I'd like to go to progress. Let's just go to, well, I don't know what it has to say. We're going to have to wait to see what our optimum cruising speed would be once we get to 27,000. Let's go ahead and expand the range here on the map. There's a lot of waypoints along the way, as you can see. As soon as we get leveled off, we'll begin to look at what altitude, what speed, what altitude we have to be at each of those waypoints, or you could say navigational fixes, in order to comply with that star standard terminal arrival is what it stands for. All right. Just waiting for 18,000 feet, and then we can set the barometer to the altimeters to standard. After the checklist is complete, now that the flaps are fully retracted, and we're to the descent checklist, I'm simply going to leave it there. Yeah, just leave it where it is. It actually would not hurt to go ahead and go through it right now, because we're going to be descending here before you know it. So we're waiting for 18,000 feet to go. Here comes 18. There we go, flight level 180. Alright. Standard. Go over to standard over here. It did not. Now it is. Alright. And the FO standard, yes, he's also standard. Okay, good. Alright, let's look at our legs page. So let's zoom in. We do need to meet, like I said, specific altitude and speeds. Although I can't click on the next page. How wonderful is that? Let's see, can I bring that up? Probably not. Let's go see what I can pull up here. That's not good. See, right MFD. And it does not like that at all. Let's see if I can bring up the CDU info checklist. Nope, nothing. Interesting. So these buttons, to the best of my knowledge, these buttons are not functional. Let's try that one more time. I guess we can always do it that way. Let's see if we can. Okay, do with what you have. That's interesting. All right, we'll just do it this way, even though we've got our navigation on the bottom half of the PFD, so we do know where we're going. All right, let's look at our. I wanted to look at VNAV here real quick. And by the way, this is a great thing to have happen. If this were to go out, If the lower MFD were to malfunction, you can view your flight computer, aka CDU, right on your right MFD, or you call it the upper MFD. All right, our cruise altitude, time programmed for 27. For some odd reason, it's saying 3-1. I don't know where I got that info from. So what we do, we use our dial pad here, and we simply say 27, 0. That goes in, and we execute that. And if we look at our FMAs, which is our flight mode annunciator, which is at the top of the PFD, we have thrust ref, LNAV, VNAV speed, check. All right, let's go into our lathe page, and we need to make some decisions here. And the decisions that need to be made are pointed out in magenta, at least as to the color that everybody says. Like, oh, it looks like purple to me, but the proper color is magenta. Let's do saying my 0.779 at 29,000 or 26. Let's look at what the next one reads. What I do in the situations like this, even though we're not simulating traffic or ATC, I will do 1,000 to go check. Always choose the lower number. Why? Why do we do that? Well, it's better to come in low and a little slow, as long as you're not flying over terrain that is going to impact the flight. Lower and slower is better than high and fast. If it's high and fast, well then you're gonna have to you're not gonna be lined up. In other words, the velocity is gonna be too great, and you're going to overshoot the proper point as to which you transition from LNAV to approach mode, and then you might have to do a go around and aka go missed, and it precludes a lot of that from happening. It's acting like it's struggling to keep a speed here. Let's look at the throttles real quick. See, what are the winds? That's something else that needs to be fixed, because we obviously have winds up here. If we look under our PFD, we've got winds are at 245 at 67 and or 68 knots. If we look over at the first officer CDU, it's showing no wind of any kind. None. So that's something else that Asobo needs to fix. One of the many things that needs to be fixed on this jet. We are above 10,000, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the landing lights. All the other lights, it's such a short flight. I'm just going to make the executive decision to leave those on. All right. 0.779. We're going to do, so what you have to do is this. You got to do 0.7, let's do 0.77 at 260, which is 26,000 feet. That little drop down there is awfully annoying, isn't it? I mean, you try to put it and then it picks up the mouse. All right. Yep. Execute that. 270, flight level 270, flight level 23. I'm gonna go with 280 at flight level 230. So 280, 280 slash 230. And we're gonna put that up in the box. I'll say execute when I'm done with this page. Next, 280 at 24,000 or 20. We'll do 280 at 20,000. So 280 at 20,000. Put that in. Now, that button, the touch screen, if that were to somehow fail for you, there is a physical execute button right down here. And as you can see, the green light is lit up above it, just like it is on the artificial button up here on the screen. Alright, next one, M dots. Right there on line select key left 2. 280, I'm sorry, we just passed the waypoint, so now I got moved up one. 280 at 200. So 280. And most airline pilots, this is the most excitement they ever see on any given average flight. And they will tell you that. They don't fly the plane, they're known as button pushers. Just kidding, that was a joke. Anyway, gripper 280, okay, so we'll go for 280 and 190. So speed is 280 at 190. $280 at 16,000. In a moment, I'm going to make another so-called executive decision for 280 to not be the speed, because once you get below 16,000, the airplanes begin, especially when they're a wide body like this one, they don't like to slow down all that easily. For the biking NAFX 280 at 16,000. Now, real quick while I'm doing this, remember LAX has 4 runways. 2 are on the two parallel runways are on the north side of the terminal building, and 2 parallel runways are on the left side of the terminal buildings. There is a taxiway. I think there's 2 of them. I haven't been there in years, but that connects the 2 sides of the airport. But since we're coming from the north, that is why I've chosen the runway that I chose back in when I was still on the ground back in San Francisco. All right, next one, 280 at 14,000. So 280. After this, I'm going to tell it to slow it down. That's just too much velocity at such a low altitude, because remember, 10,000, when you're below 10,000 feet, what is the speed limit? No more than 250 knots of indicated airspeed. That's the key word. Key phrase, indicated airspeed. Next, how are we doing over here? Let's expand the view here on the right side so I can see what we're doing. Yeah, we have plenty of time to finish this. Okay. Iron Man, because the name of the SID. I'm sorry, we utilize the star. this is the entry point into the Star Standard Terminal arrival. Back in San Francisco, I said we were shooting the Star. That's my mistake. Back in San Francisco, we were utilizing the SID, Standard Instrument Departure. And if you want to know which one I use, I mean, look, what I do is I pull these flight plans directly from FlightAware, so I'm utilizing real world flight plans. So this one, which one did I use? When we were on the ground, in real life, they were still in the air. And FlightAware is a little slow. There we go. Let's look at that flight. Which one did I use here? I knew it was a Embraer 175. There goes SkyWest. Yep, it's in flight. The entry point for the Ironman 2 arrival, the entry point is and/or transition. It depends on who your flight instructors were. Burgle, B-U-R-G-L. So, Ironman, 280 at 12. Now we're going to slow that down to 260 at 12. 260 at 12. 12,000, that is. Now the engine anti-ice and the wing anti-ice just turned on. That's amazingly unsurprising. Oh, we are flying through some light clouds. Let's see what's going on outside. So it's apparently detecting a little bit of ice. Well, there you go. Now, I don't see any. I need to zoom in on the airframe here. Nothing on the nose. Nothing on the leading edge of the wings. The wing lights that I have on, they obviously do not work. Well, it was detecting some ice, so interesting. And it still is. Alright. Where were we? Ah, yes. 12,250 at 12 as we get closer on that one. So we'll say 250 slash 12,000, which is 120. Execute those. How far away are we from our top of descent? About 40 miles or so. Next page. 240 at 9,000. I'll take it. We'll do 230 at 8,000 for J-U-U-S-E. Juicy, I guess is how you pronounce it. 240 at 8,000. Now at 8,000 you can just enter 080. The computer, the flight computer, it'll know what you mean by that. Yeah, Cliffy, we need to go to 10. 210 at 7,000, so we'll say 210. And the reason that the star is already telling it to have a default speed now, 210, it realizes that you're going to be getting into an area with a lot of air traffic. And hence the reason for flying so slow. 7,000 feet. 070. Okay, vectors. Let's see what the next page has in store. Cebu is our entry point into the actual approach. That's awfully fast. To our left. 210 and 6,000. What to do? We may end up controlling because that's an awful lot of waypoints to fly to when you're so close to the airport. And that's 240 is awful fast. Cebu, so what is it saying? 6,000 at the end of the arrival. That just doesn't make any sense. All right, we'll do. I know what to do. We'll just. How many legs after that? Yeah, something is really, really wrong with that. Let's see if we can get out of performance. We can't do. Let's look at the charts here. Get in there. Let's look at. Excuse me. Let's look at the charts. Let's look at 2-4 left. That just doesn't make sense. Runway 24 left. I'd like to look at the ad. Oh, that's right. 24. Yep, that's the one. Cebu. That's not right. One's us coming in. Circus is loaded the wrong one. Not a big deal. Going to departure arrival. Let's go first. Let's go ahead and get this down to 4,000 feet. That way it'll begin to descend as it needs to. 4,000 feet. Already beginning to descend. It's descending too early.
Burbank Airport information, Golf 0200 Zulu.
Great.
Windcom. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 20. Dew point 1. Altimeter.
Did I fix it? Looks like even though it should be in the active, well, we'll leave it there for now. All right. Back to looking at the map. Okay, we need to go into departure arrival. ILS 24 left. Here's how you do this. You reset it. ILS 24 left. We do not want Cebu. We want Circus. What do we? Okay, I think we might be able, well, the way the mountains are there, just north of Ontario, California. Let's see if we can utilize another one. Finesse, we could, but Finesse is awful close, and it is not lined up with the runway, so we'll use Circus. Okay. Okay, Circus is what we're going to use. Execute that. Go back to legs page, and everybody is isn't that wonderful of it? It just reset every altitude we plugged in. Does it work that way in the real world? No, it doesn't. Not even close. None of these parameters would have been altered, not one bit. Just make sure fuel balance is good. Make sure it's not required. Nope. All right. I mean, the heads-up display does it help? For ground operations, taxiing, it does help because it doesn't give you much anything else. Drag required to maintain VNAV descent. Okay. It needs that little message simply means it needs a little help in slowing down. So speed brake is initialized. All right, 280 at 20,000. And it isn't going to like that, so we're going to give it like a happy medium. Let's say that much of it. A little more. Looks like that's going to help it. We'll just say, if we say 20,000 feet, it'll know what it means. If I say, well, technically I should be able to have FL 200. Let's see if this works like it does in real life. It does. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll do the next one, flight level 190. So FL 190. Flight level 140. 140. And that goes here. And let me look at the map, the chart. 12,000. All right. 280 at 12. Around that one, we're going to say 260 at 12. Don't need to be going quite so fast on that one. At 12. Uh, 250. Once now we gotta be hitting specific ones at specific speeds. So Simon 250 at 12. So 250 at 12,000 feet. I'm debating on whether or not to let this aircraft do an auto land. It still needs help on the speed, so a little more. Okay, what is the I could look over here for the altimeter setting in LAX. Let's just see how well that lines up with 3020 on the altimeter. Let's look at what FlightAware has to say about that. Let's look. I know it doesn't like the speed brake. But the issue is it helps keep it at 280. Okay, so this is saying that it's 3020. And the internet FlightAware says 3020, so that is accurate. Alright, let's spin that down to 3020. And we make sure that the FO is also at 3020. Is PFD? Yes. Okay, good. Put those in the box. I knew it. I just knew it. It needs self-slowing down. I'll get rid of the display for just a moment. You can enjoy the views. I believe that is Santa Barbara. I think I'm wrong about that, but anyway. Alright, we want, let's see, what's our next waypoint here? 240 at 8. 240 at 080. That's in the box. 21 and 7,000. Make sure we got the right input here. Go back to the chart. Circus. Let's see, where is this in relation to this? Next page, please. Well, circus at 12,000. Huh. Let me look at what the bigger picture is here. Circus, what we'll do is we'll after BAYS, what does this say? On the other maintain, why did it automatically bring it up when it needs it? Okay, lights. Let's go ahead and just turn them on as we speak right here. Everybody else is on. Yeah, it doesn't like the speed brake anymore. But yeah, it's gonna ask for it again. So it's a never-ending battle. Oh, speed brakes. Let's just set them up here. Let's go through our checklist real quick. Recall. I can do it on my side, that's fine. Nothing there. Auto brake, we set that. Landing data, VREF speed. Go init ref. Approach. What was the winds in 12 knots? 12 knots of wind. We can pull, although we are heavy, we'll do the typical 30 on the flaps. And execute. Alright. Going through 4,000. Let's go back to the lace page here. Drag is required again. I think it's going to go on and off, on and off. But anyway, minimums are, what are the minimums on this? 5. Let's see, that one. We'll do 330 on the radio altimeter, so. There's LAX right there. Minimums are going to be radio, and they're going to be... Now what? Three 330? Okay. Way too fast. Way too fast. 3. Okay, that is checked off. Approach briefing, I actually talked about that on the way in. Approach altimeters are already set, normal. And then down to the landing checklist, which is coming up here in just a bit. Okay. Circus 12,000. What we're gonna do, what is our altitude? 7,000 feet. We're gonna level off at 7. And here's why. We do not need to fly all the way out of Circus. Because again, remember, we are not simulating air traffic control. We are not simulating any air traffic. So we're going to level off at 7. Wait until we're, let's see here. Yeah. 7,000 is what we're going to stabilize at. Level off at. And as soon as we are parallel with Hurler, where are we right now? Let's see that after finesse. Yeah. Once we line up with just at the waypoint after finesse, you can see finesse is on the PFD. That is what we're going to do. And then we'll execute the turn and we'll fly to right to that waypoint. And then slow it up. This guy's at 220. And let's go to 230. So we'll do we'll turn off VNAV. Let's just turn off, yeah, altogether. 230. Because you do want to give the aircraft enough room so that when you come in and turn, you're not on top of the airport. You want to be out. So let's zoom this in a little bit. Yeah. Okay, we've got everything else we need here. We can go back to nav display and properly have the displays set up to where they would be in the real world. Okay, come in. Level 7, I can see our descent profile on the right side of the PFD, just left of the altitude tape. That is our vertical profile. You can also see it depicted on the nav display. It's right, let me zoom in for it. It should be down here. Select MFD CDU, put the CDU down there. What did I say? Further H Hotel Uniform Romeo Lima Romeo. Yes. We do need to get out there, so. Ontario. Very familiar, very familiar with that airport. It is a UPS hub, and yeah, a very common route for UPS. Many times a day, Louisville to Ontario, and vice versa. And another big one is Ontario to Anchorage and back. Those are two. I will call it many a day milk runs for UPS. Ontario to Louisville, and Ontario to Philadelphia, and Ontario to Anchorage. Those three destinations out of Ontario are performed many times a day. All right, what's our speed now? 230. That's fine. The one advantage of the 787 not having accurate flight dynamics is if you watch what I do, I can get this airplane to stop on a dime, not just on the runway, but also in the air. If I set the flaps and before that, if I put the speed brake out all the way, 100% of it, I can make the speed drop like a brick. So what I'm saying is, that's you got to utilize the non-realism of what they have and use it in your favor as much as possible. Sounds weird, but that's what you got to do. It's that old saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Alright, we're almost the proper radii, not quite. So if any of you young people are out there and you want to be an airline pilot, do good in school, do the best you can. If mathematics take it from me, if mathematics, if that's difficult for you, especially when you get into junior high and high school, if you can get proficient in this environment right here, airspeed, altitude, where you need to be, meaning your flight plan, where you need to be. In other words, like you need to be at, in this case, Hotel Uniform Romeo Lima Romeo, at a specific speed, a specific altitude. Understanding air density, the higher you go, is the atmosphere becomes less and less dense. Therefore, it allows you to fly faster with lower fuel consumption. If you can begin to wrap your mind around that in the sim, you can translate that over to your studies in school, and you'd be very surprised at how many little light bulbs might begin to turn on as you begin to do what your teacher tells you to do. And if you don't understand it, just kind of try and put that into the perspective of being in a flight deck, which is where you want to end up anyway. And you'd be very, very surprised at how well you can do if you need improvement in that area. Math is not difficult as long as it is applied to something in the real world. All right, let's make that turn to Waterline now. We'll do that. Is that the right one again? Or H Hotel Uniform. Okay. Let's do that real quick. Fly direct to where are we here? Pass already? Hope not. Let's go to there it is, right there. Back to legs. Make sure we got finesse, and then say yes, we do. Execute. All right. The geometry, the geometry of all this begins to make sense. If you look at where we are, you can see where we are. So, young people, if you want to look at this, you can see where we are. We're flying direct to Hotel Uniform Romeo Lima Romeo, which is right after Walnut. So if you find Walnut on the map here, it's the next one. That is where the aircraft is going to be pointing its nose at, so we can go directly to that point. So a little bit of, and right there, believe it or not, that little bit of checking and figuring out what to do, that is geometry. We just performed a geometry calculation right there. And there it is, 11 miles off our right. Okay. Oh, beautiful sunset. Absolutely beautiful. That's what it looks like off the dash here. You can see the Pacific Ocean in the distance. All right. Let's make sure that the flight computer has the double checking our speeds. With wind, so approach speed is going to be 169 knots. FMC comms, make sure that it's dialed into the proper frequency for the ILS. I'm sorry, NAVRAD. My apologies. Not FMC comm, that's something that is to come, or where you can talk to your dispatcher That feature, from what I understand, that feature is not available in Flight Sim 2024 yet, but I believe it's coming along with some high grade payware that I used to teach out of, which is PMDG. They make the best add-on wide bodies, bar none. All right. So, Robert, if you can hear me, I just gave you a free plug there, man. Anyway, let's see, here we go. Making sure the ILS is 1170 at 2. Let's see, I'll double check the frequency. Now this is not. Here's the 1170. Let's double check that. Yep, that's in there. We're gonna go ahead and arm the where's my mouse? Arm the approach mode. It's not allowing me to do that. It should. Even though we're 23 nautical miles out of LAX, I mean it should. Okay, well, I'll be able to see the localizing light slope show up here in just a minute. If you're wondering why this is a long, slow approach, and if you're thinking that, you would be right. In real life, they will, if traffic, especially this time of the evening, sending it out to the Circus Fix and then coming in through Papa Fox, Lima India Alpha, and then down to Sierra Alpha, Lima Whiskey Alpha. They will take you all the way out there and they will bring you in at a very slow speed. For those of you that don't fly a lot, or you don't fly, and I fully understand that, if you want to see what it's like, okay, we got to get down manually because it doesn't want to capture the glide yet. You got to get down to 4,000, 3,000 feet. That'll work. I mean, we got to get down there fast. It's just not picking it up. Slow us down to 180. Flaps 1, please, which we can do. We can actually do 5. Speed brake coming up. That time we pass. Sweet. We need to be at 22. Okay. We're gonna leave it at 3,000 because that'll be our fixed 252. That'll be our missed approach heading, got it, and our missed approach altitude. Okay. Landing gear down. I just honestly thought that the VNAV functionality of this airplane would be better than it is, and it's not. Turn the weather radar off. So that's for 2200. Alright, speed brakes. Armed.
2,500.
Flaps to go. $20. And our speed needs to be, what again? 160. 169. Okay. Let's see, yeah, speed brake is armed. I don't know why that's not in green, I have no idea. And flaps 30. Landing checklist is complete. Should be. There. Complete. Let's see what the, if it's gonna do an auto land. It's not setting it up. And there's a glitch right there. Oh, now it's armed. Okay. Making sure speed brake is off. That's so annoying that, okay, it's gonna do an auto land. Let's see what it does. I'm interested to know how good of a landing it'll do. I would gladly do one, but I just want to see, because I've never done one in the 787 from Asobo. I've never done one before. I just want to see what it's going to do. Hopefully it isn't going to ram the main gear up into the fuselage. Hopefully it understands how to
1,000.
how to properly land the aircraft. Let's see here. Let's see how good of a job it's doing here. So we have a quartering headwind coming at us at the 1 o'clock position. So far, I'm not liking what I see. It's just all over
500.
the place.
Approaching minimums.
Yeah.
Minimums.
Landing.
$50, $40, $30, $20, $10.
Way too long of a landing on that one. Way too long here. Full reverse. Slowing us down. It is. So here we go real quick. Okay, reverse thrust coming off. That was a very long landing, to say the least. Wow. Very, very, very long landing. Wow, that was just ridiculous. All right, we'll take this. Let's go ahead and turn on the APU real quick. That way it's ready once we get to the gate. Let's spin this down. Flaps up. Let's see, the speed brakes, are they still down? They are. Takes a little bit of thrust to get moving. Once it takes over to that gate. Alright, that's fine. Makes life easier. Makes life easy. Alright. Let's see here. All of a sudden it needs a lot of thrust to get moving. Turn off the flight director. Looks like an Embraer 175 over there. And like I said, I haven't been to LAX. I don't know what gate and or terminal this is. Let's see here. There's no way I'm going to follow the line. That we would run right into the jetway. Lights. Let's stop here for just a minute here. Lights off. Turn off lights off. Strobes. Wing lights. Everybody, that's fine. Okay. Let's see outside. Let's see what the situation is like out here. The speed brakes need to come in. Alright. We'll just do a brief shutdown here. Parking brake is on. Turn on the storm lights. Get those dome lights up. Should be able to light up the cockpit a lot more than that, but it's gonna do what it's gonna do. And no, that is not correct. The APU fire discharge, that should not be lit up as it is. And nor should the engine fire handles, they should not be lit up either. Another mistake that they have yet to fix. Okay, parking brake is on, TCAS off track. Trying to get that to go away here. Alright, so we're going to do a shutdown here. Making sure the APU is up and running, on, making sure that we have external power is available as well. Really? Okay. Well, we'll take that. We can now shut down the engines here. Right engine, left engine. There we go. Hydraulics off. Fuel. And what else here? Flaps. Oh, there, that one more notch flaps didn't come up. I told you. Let's turn on the hydraulics. It will get the flaps all the way up. For some odd reason, they didn't go up like they should have. They should be on their way up by now. If they're not, then that is a major bug that they need to work on. Yeah, big bug. They should be able to function even when the engines are not running. And they're not functioning. Okay. Well, everybody, and in particular the person who asked me to do a big airline episode. There you have it. Hope you got something out of the video. Please leave comments below. I check them and I do respond to them. And smash that thumbs up button and hit subscribe. And we can continue to grow the fly adventure that we're on together. And hope you got something out of it. Hope it was also somewhat entertaining. And we'll see you again very, very soon. And fly safe.